Welcome and good evening, everybody, to our New York City Kids RISE Save for College program February Town Hall meeting. My name is Layla Bozorg. I'm the Chief of Strategy and Policy here at New York City Kids RISE. Tonight's event is the latest in our monthly Town Hall series to provide families in the Save for College community with information and resources and an opportunity to connect and share expertise to support one another. As many of you know, the New York City Kids RISE Save for College program provides a way for all of us, families, schools, neighbors, and partners throughout the city and throughout our neighborhoods to work together to build a foundation for our students' educational and economic futures. Tonight, we're going to be sharing with you a panel discussion that was broadcasted at our recent celebration of the Astoria Houses Community Scholarship. It was a truly beautiful celebration that we collaborated on with the Astoria Houses Residents Association. And if you missed it, you can still watch a recorded version on our Facebook and YouTube pages. We can put the links in the chat. But tonight, we're sharing with you the College and Career Community panel from that event. And it's full of practical advice for preparing your child for higher education starting from a young age. Before we begin, I want to give a few reminders. First, while the panel discussion was pre-recorded, we are here live and we're live on the back end. So please ask any questions that you have. We're here to support you and answer some of your questions. We also want you to chime in, use the chat function, and let us and other viewers know if you have college and career advice that you want to share. Part of the purpose of these town halls is not just to hear from speakers, but also to share information with one another. You never know when your own experience is going to be something that's really helpful to other families that have tuned in. As well, finally, just a reminder that this is a monthly town hall series, so our next one will be in March. But we also have workshops that we host monthly, the next ones being in March and then in April. And these are workshops for families in our community. Just go to our website to the events page. We'll drop that information in the chat and you can check out which workshops we're offering and you can register right there on the website as well. So with that, I'm gonna just let the show begin.
Thank you all for joining us this morning. We hope you are enjoying the event thus far and had a great time with your children in the read-along earlier. I'm Murray Abellis, the Chief of Administration and Finance for NYC Kids RISE, and I'm excited to be part of this special event today. I have two young children myself, Eleanor, who's 9, and Madeline, who's 7, and I'm one of your neighbors here in Astoria. Today, we've assembled an amazing panel, and I can't stress how amazing these folks are. And the information that you're going to get today, I hope, is truly useful for your educational future for your children. We've brought together experts and a panel of parents and guardians themselves, many from Astoria and Astoria Houses as well, to talk directly to the parents and grandparents and caretakers out there in the audience right now who are raising the next generation of scientists, doctors, nurses, engineers, mayors in our future. The team here has spent a lot of time thinking and living the college and career going experience. Today, they'll talk to you directly and share and discuss some steps and actions that we can all start taking now to start planning and saving for our children's futures. Everyone has something to offer, and together sharing what works for each of us will make us stronger as a community. So with that, I'd like to jump right in and introduce our incredible panel that you can see here on screen. Dora Danner is the principal of PS 234 in Astoria and a founding member of the Save for College program here in District 30. Principal Danner will share with us the ways we can support our young children in their academic journeys. Andre Stith is a student and family support manager at Zone 126, a community-based organization focused on harnessing the power of collective impact to ensure children are supported from cradle to career. Andre is also an Astoria Houses resident and a grandparent of 8. So if we see some of his grandkids come in, more the merrier. We'd love to have them take a cameo. He is going to share more specifically about his role at Zone 126 and his perspectives on how parents and guardians can support their children's learning. He's been a founding partner in the Save for College program since the beginning. Gabby Maleve is an Astoria Houses alumnus, a recent Ithaca College grad, and a current choral fellow in public affairs. Now, that alone can show you the path of excellence that she is on. So I can't tell you how excited I am to have her on to share a little bit about her college journey and her experiences. Nadia Landy is a graduate of Lehman College, a Save for College program parent, and Astoria Houses resident. She's going to share a little bit about how she's been able to leverage the Save for College program as a resource to save for her own children's futures and support and explain how she supports her children on their college and career journey. And Sandy Jimenez is an expert on all things higher ed, the different types of schools, career training options that exist, as well as the resources that are available to you and what you need to consider to pay for education and related costs. So clearly we have an incredible panel, and I'm really, really excited to jump right into the conversation. Now, we all know schools play a key role in the fabric of the community and directly supporting our children on a path to college and career. I'm incredibly grateful to have Principal Danner here to share her perspective as a school leader. So Principal Danner, what are the steps families can take today to support their kindergartners through third graders in their academic journeys?
I think that it's important that we start talking to our children very early on about college. I don't think it's something that we should wait until 11th grade to start saying to children, hey, what are you thinking about doing in the future? I think that it's extremely helpful to help build that pathway by making it a part of their normal day-to-day thinking process. I know that when I was a child, I'm one of 7 children who grew up in the New York City public school system, and something that my parents did daily, they talked about where we were going in the future, what were we going to do. My father would always say, you're going to be a lawyer with that mouth, or you're going to be a teacher. And I remember saying as a little kid, as early as 5 years old, saying, what's a lawyer? What's a teacher? But, you know, throughout my education, going through from elementary to high school, I just remember that constant conversation. And that's something that I think that's key, that you have to start talking about it early on. You have to start talking about how valuable children are and how valuable their time is, how valuable education is. And once children understand that, it becomes second nature to them. It becomes a natural thinking process. They start thinking, wow, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I think that having them think this way early on will kind of like keep them on a path that's going to get them to a place we want them to be.
That's amazing. I know I certainly try at every turn with my 2 little girls to try to reinforce that notion. And really try to open up what is possible, because
right.
They need to know that there aren't limits, right? There aren't natural limits to this, and start thinking about things not in, sort of only traditional paths, but what is it that they're interested in? And it's also important to note that reinforcement should not only be in the home, but from other members in the community, right? Like it's something that exists as a community and a fabric that we need to reinforce in each other. So on that notion, I'd love to turn it over to Andre to talk about your work, specifically your role at Zone 126. And if you could, as a parent and grandparent, provide some tips for the parents out there on how to support their kids' learning. Andre, you're on mute.
I'm so sorry. Excuse me, guys. I muted myself so I wouldn't be heard while Ms.
It's an
Danner was talking,
occupational hazard these days. Don't worry.
I'd like to thank you for having me, Murray. And My role at the Zone, which is an educational nonprofit as a student support and family manager, that's just to help. It's exactly what it is. It's to support the families and the students in any way possible. So it's through the Zone where we do it we outsource to partners to bring in programs that we outsource through the community of what they need. So we bring in programs such as I had once when I was working with Principal Danner, like programs like Community Word Project to come in and it with teaching, with acting teachers to spike children and make them learn in different ways because not all children learn the same way. And it's just through the Zone with all the other partners and entities, it helps build that pathway that students know they can. Unfortunately, in the society that we live in now, we can't still go by the way of, hey guys, you can be anything you want to be when you grow up, because with social media and all the norms now, it's, hey guys, you can be whatever you put the hard work in for. So it's up to us to put them on that path. And as a father and grandparent, you know, I'm with Principal Danner. You have to start talking about college early. How early is early? Well, I've seen kids as early as 3 and 4 on TikTok videos and watching online shows. So if they can watch TikTok, and being that we're in the pandemic, which will save you some money, instead of having to go on actual college tours, you can go on places like UVisit and have virtual college tours in any college campus you want to in the world. So instead of having to worry about finances and we can't make that trip, have your child as young as you want. Sit and let's take a virtual tour through a college. You know, they can do virtual TikTok videos. I do with my grandkids. My grandkids are 3 and 4 and have TikTok channels. So I make sure as much energy as they put in that, which is good because they need some of that, you put that in to your educational path. You know, it's all right there. We can't get out because of the pandemic, because it's to be safer. It's right there in front of you. Everything virtual, and that's one of the ways to go.
And this is proof that when community comes together to support each other, like there's nothing that's impossible. I had no idea about these virtual college tours. So guess what we're doing on a Friday night at home tonight? We're going to take a tour. I don't know where, but somewhere.
Oh yeah. If you go on UVisit, I mean, it's literally when you punch it, every college just pops up. So you can any campus you want to go. You want to go to Michigan, go to Michigan. I actually send my kids to Yale and Harvard and things like that because nothing's out of their reach. So I don't want you just to think you're not going to just look at community colleges and the norms. Oh, you're in Queens, you got to go to St. John's. No, you can go wherever you want to in life. But like I said, it's the work has to be put in, and it's our job here to back them up, because if I'm a strong, firm believer that if we do not give children direction, we cannot sit back and blame them for getting lost. And that's just that simple.
That's amazing. Transitioning from the community now directly to a parent in the Save for College program. Nadia, I'd love to talk to you about how you leverage the Save for College program as a resource and why the Save for College program is an important tool for children in our neighborhood.
Yes, thank you, Maury. So I first learned about the Safe for College program when I arrived to Astoria Houses Community, and I worked with the parent coordinator at my daughter's school, and they also helped me activate the New York City scholarship account. And with that, I also found the opportunity to open up my own 529 account for my kids, and I have 3 kids now. So it was like, my oldest son, he's in middle school, and I missed that whole New York City Kids RISE for him, but I still was able to open up the 529 account for him. So now both of my kids that are in school have a 529 account, and I started them off with their funds. And my daughter, the youngest one who's about to turn 1, I plan to start hers once we get back the taxes. So I'm going to also get her rolling, starting her first birthday. And, you know, with that whole finances started to kick in, where I told the kids, hey, you guys can actually start making money by doing chores around the house. So I opened up a bank account for them and got them started with their allowance. And with that allowance, they were able to do whatever they want. If they wanted to buy stuff on Amazon, if they wanted to buy their whole Fortnite game chips, whatever they got going on, they were able to do that so they don't have to keep hassling me or their dad for money so they can earn their money. So I told them this is their way. Like, I don't mind them making their mistakes now because in the future, when they do these little wrong little purchases and so forth, they'll understand what the difference between a want and a need. So that's where I also was like, hey, I need to start getting them prepared for college mentally.
Right.
So, hey, why don't you guys figure out how much money you guys can get from your chores, how much you want to save, and how much you want to spend? So now they all have this whole notion of, oh, I'm going to save $5 towards my weekly goal, and I'll save $2 to put towards my gaming system every week, and so forth. So they're more of like opened up to this whole finances, and then when stuff comes along, they're like, oh mommy, how much is the rent, how much is this, how much do you have to pay for food? So now they're more aware of what is actually needed to survive in this world. So, and I told them as well, with their college, they can do whatever they want. My daughter has like a wide variety of things right now. She wants to be an artist. She wants to be a dancer. She wants to be a YouTuber. She wants to be into music, playing guitar. My husband got her a ukulele and a guitar, and my son wants to be a basketball player and a drummer. So they all have like a wide range of things. And I told them, you don't have to stop with one. You can pick them all. There's a lot of hobbies. You can make money off of any of those things. So let them keep exploring, let them keep, making their mistakes from now. So by the future comes, by the time they're of age, they know what it is to survive, what it is to move forward, how to guide themselves into the next process.
You're doing an amazing job. I must say, as a parent, trying to give some of this, survival information, or really the notion of like, this is how the world works with finances, and linking and using the Safer College program as a tool for that, as a teaching moment, is incredible. It also bears noting that, higher education opens up a world of opportunity to better jobs, better pay, savings, and wealth. And just given your kids' story of all the different things they want to do, there's obviously different options for higher ed, depending on what kids want to do. And I know personally that just feels super overwhelming, just even thinking about that. So I'd love to turn it over to Sandy to talk about, if you could break down some of the different options for higher ed and career training that exist for families to consider. It'd be really helpful for the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So there are all different kind of options, and we're only going to fit in a few right now, but some basic ones you should know about. We've got colleges, and we heard the mention of community college, right? And these are colleges that are right in your community that offer certificate programs and associate degrees, which are degrees that are designed to be completed in 2 years. Maybe you don't complete it in 2 years, but that idea, you can come right out of those types of colleges with a career, or you can continue on to a senior college, a college that offers bachelor's degrees. And those degrees are designed to be completed in 4 years. And you can study all different kind of things there, come out with a career, or keep going. There's even more, but we'll leave it there. And sometimes they'll call it for short 2- and 4-year colleges, right? Then we've got public and private colleges. Public colleges receive their funding mostly from the government. Bonus, if you are from New York State, which we all are, hello, we've got 2 public school systems in New York State. In New York City, we have the CUNY system, City University of New York, LaGuardia Community College, Baruch, Hunter. All of those schools are part of that system. And we've got SUNY, which is the State University of New York, Those schools are mostly not in the city. We've got Binghamton, Oneonta, Stony Brook, so many colleges. If you attend one of those schools, another bonus, you get a lower price than people coming from outside of New York because you're funding the colleges with your taxes. And that's something really important to keep in mind. So there are those colleges which have a lower residential price, right? Then the private colleges, they're mostly funded by private funders, hence the name, right? So it could be an organization or it could be people that have graduated from there. And those schools don't have the bonus price that we were talking about. They don't have the lower price, but they have more money to give you to go to their school. So they might have scholarships, which we'll talk about later, and other free money to help you afford to go to that college. What does that mean? When my child goes to college, I have a second grader in 11 years. I'm counting down. I'm going to consider both types of colleges. I'm going to make sure she applies to both so that I can have different kind of options, different kind of prices to compare. And guess what? There's other types of options too. So those are the types of colleges. There are also other types of trainings that our young people can participate in to get good careers. We have apprenticeships. Apprenticeships are offered usually by unions in different kind of trades. So we've got plumbing, welding, carpentry apprenticeships where students can study and learn side by side with somebody that already is successfully doing that job. Amazing. Also, we've got vocational trainings, right? So I want to learn how to do networking with computers in an office. There are trainings that I can take to do that and get hooked in with a job. And I can do those through different organizations and also through colleges too. So those are some of the options. Guess what? By the time our students go to college, 11, 12, 15 years, there's going to be more and more options. You just got to keep your ears open to the different types of careers that are available. And also in order for our children to make good informed choices, we got to keep talking about all these opportunities to them as they grow and talk about the different kind of careers that are out there as they grow. The other day when I was watching the inauguration with my daughter, pointing out the different types of amazing women that were on that stage that were doing different kind of jobs. We've got somebody who writes poems, right? And who was able to read her beautiful poem at the inauguration. That's something you can do. What kind of education do you think she needs to reach there? We've got Justice Sotomayor. How do you think she got there? Let's talk about the path that she followed. That's a really important daily conversation to have so your child can make all the right choices among the variety.
That's excellent. Clearly, a wealth of knowledge on the topic, and it's also clear that doing your research now will only help you feel prepared, right? As we're going down and keeping up with that research. Gabby, since you are a recent graduate, I'd love to talk to you about your journey at Ithaca College. I know you have a BA in Culture and Communication, so I look forward to the day that we turn the tables and I'm a panelist and you're the moderator for our next panel. But why don't you tell us a little bit about the process for you before going to college?
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for having me. And so grateful to be on with all y'all. So I'm a first generation college student, right? So the process was very new for my family and I. We met with my guidance counselor, which in some places can be flooded with other students. So I had to find opportunities in different spaces. But something that I thought was really critical in that process was like researching how I can get application vouchers. Because when you're applying to schools, it costs money. So my goal was I'm going to school for free. And on top of that, I'm going to apply for free to every single place I go to. And so I had to be very strategic in that space and just really be open and talking to people on how to get those doors open for myself. Something else that I was thinking about during that process was affordability, right? Sandy talked about private versus public, CUNY versus SUNY. So I wanted the place that was going to give me the most money and where I was going to graduate with the less amount of debt that I can. Another big thing for me was a study abroad experience. I wanted to explore the world, and I was like, any place that's going to give me money to do that, and on top of that, I can go as far away as I can. That was, again, super important to me. And when I got to Ithaca, I had the opportunity to study abroad in New Zealand, and I was like, okay, this is out of my frame of knowing. So that was really exciting. I also wanted to dorm, so I had to think about geography, right? Am I far enough where, like, if my mom calls me, she can't just like show up randomly, or can I come home quickly? So all these things were coming into it. Do you want a city? Do you want more rural? A big school, so a big state school versus a mid or smaller space. And I knew I excelled mostly in that interpersonal, very small scale classroom where there was only maybe like 12 people, because that's where, again, I felt that I was going to get the benefit of learning. And then lastly, something that was really important to me was I didn't know what I was going to study going in, right? Everybody's like, I'm going to be pre-med, I'm going to do this and this. And I was just like, ooh, I'm not sure. And I really, at that time, was internalizing the idea that if you don't see it, you can't become it. And so the biggest thing for me was, okay, I needed to go into something maybe undecided or a place where I can explore. So going into Ithaca, they had an exploratory program, which I was really privileged to be a part of, because some people may be like, no, that's just an undecided major. But at the same time, I was in this program where I would have to sit in seminars where people from different majors and occupations would come in and talk to me about their experience. And that was really important to me. And so that was a big piece. And like Andre said, I didn't have the opportunity necessarily to go to every school that I applied for. And I applied for a lot, like I said before. And so what I did was the online tours were super beneficial to that process of like, okay, what does this campus actually look like? Is it accessible for me and for maybe my family if they also want to visit? And so those were all kind of contributing factors.
Amazing. I appreciate how you may have been undecided at the beginning in terms of a major, but you were so clear on the criteria of the setup, right? What type of school, the sort of the constraints that you wanted to study abroad and so forth. So knowing that preparation certainly helped you. I'd also like to piggyback on that just to know what resources you may have leveraged along the way for the college experience.
Yeah, for sure. And I think give credit to my mom, because she was always like, you need to put yourself out there. So I that's always kind of something that sits in my head too. So in high school, I also was lucky enough to be accepted to high school through the student sponsorship program. So I went to a private school in Jamaica. And so on top of like the guidance counselor who was there for the whole school, I also got a mentor through this program that was helping me just to attend this private school. And so those were kind of like my in-institution spaces. But for me, it just wasn't enough, right? People had their own lives to also deal with. And so I was also a part of the Fresh Air Fund, and they had a program called the College Connections Program. And I got another mentor in that space who was critical in this financial literacy, understanding the packages I was getting, really breaking it down for me and my family. And so those are some three. And I think Sandy might touch on this later too, but so when you get into a private school, so I applied to Ithaca, which is a private institution, they had a program called the Higher Education Opportunity Program. And so I was accepted into that program, which again allowed me to go to school at a highly discounted rate. Like Ithaca is uber expensive. So this one was affordable for me. It worked out. And through that program, you have to do classes before your freshman year starts. So I was accustomed to the campus. I was taking math classes and psych classes, getting my writing up to date, and up to the level to go into the classes I wanted to. And so I felt like that put me at an advantage compared to kids who were like coming in fresh on first day of freshman year, who maybe didn't have a community to start with or didn't know where things were. And I kind of already had those pockets. And then in college, I also had to get a job. And that was a part of my financial aid package. And so with the job, I ended up getting a spot in the student affairs office where I had interactions with the financial aid department, with the career services, vice president. And through those relationships and just learning, I was recommended for another opportunity for, where was it? The Department of Programs and Outreach. So they were doing all the programs on campus, which was also in a space with the Culture, Race, and Ethnicity department. And there I was working on student programming, some policy, and I met professors and staff from all over campus, which just really broadened my understanding of what was actually happening.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And it really does introduce, again, the notion of cost, because we all know that college and career training comes at a cost, right? And sometimes particularly significant. So I'd like to turn it back over to Sandy. I'd love to hear from you. What steps can we take as parents now, as caretakers now, to prepare for this? And if you could explain some options that might exist, it'd be really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. There are many different options, and I really love to have heard about the HEOP program, which is one of several New York State opportunity programs that exists for low-income families. That is a program you have to look into. It offers so many benefits. So that's one. But there's so many other things. We've got scholarships, which are free money. So in some ways, free to you. You don't have to pay it back. Scholarships and grants, those are two types and highly desirable. So that's something that we can start researching right now. Absolutely. We've got loans that we can leverage to go to college. Loans are money that you have to pay back, of course, but we've got student loans from the federal government, which are usually pretty small and also very friendly, low interest, that sort of thing. And we've got work study, which we already heard about, where you're working and you're receiving money in order to study. And you can get these funds from the state. You can get funds from the federal government and from private organizations and the college itself. So looking into the, when you're looking into a particular college, let's see what kind of scholarships that they have. What kind of grants do they have available? That could be something that you're looking into. Additionally, there are funds that you can access for middle income families, which you should also start looking into. If you've got a family which is making, maybe I can't get any funds because I'm really not low income, but I don't have a ton of money. Right now, we have a scholarship called the Excelsior Scholarship in New York State. If you're undocumented and you're like, oh, I can't get any money, we have New York State Dream Act funds. So there's something for everyone, and that's really worth to look at. And also, we've already heard from our parent on the panel that you can start saving now, whether you're part of the Save for College program or not. You can start your own 529 plan to save money for your children. So that's something else you can do. And then to become educated about how much does college really cost? What am I saving up for? What am I trying to budget for right now is really important. And it's important to know that not all colleges are super expensive. Like we said, we've got private and public colleges, which have different price, right? And that there's many things we got to plan for. Sure, I got to pay the college to go. I got to pay tuition. If I'm dorming, I got to pay for the dorm. But also I got to pay for books. I got to pay for my MetroCard. There's all these incidental costs that I got to plan for. So those are all things to keep in mind ahead of college.
That's really important information. As you can see, there's a ton of resources available to families and for us to consider, right, and really start preparing for and start thinking about. Just like there are various different savings options and options to pay for school, there are also various ways in which we can create a college and career going expectation in our children at home, right? So Andre, as a parent and grandparent, I'd like to toss it back over to you. What are some ways that the parents out there in the audience can create a college and career going expectation at home? Now, I know you mentioned some of the college visits. Are there other tips you can give folks?
Sure. First, listen to your children early. Find out things that they're interested in school. Find out if it's something that they even project themselves doing in the future, and then try to steer a goal towards that. There's ways of finding out what they learn and how they learn, steer them educationally towards that, and encourage extracurricular activities like after school programs, during school programs, summer programs, SCYP. Like I have in the summertime, I send kids to Camp Hurlet where they learn camp counseling and interaction with students, just give them things to learn. Like Sandy said, other jobs, because the reality is every kid's not going to college. College is not for every child, which is not a bad thing. But what children need to learn also is that once high school's finished and you get that little rest period, life starts. So that's when mom comes in and, hi, baby, I love you. Here's the cable bill. Get that paid. And so you got to have other options. Like she said, there's 2-year, 4-year, license, trade, anything, but just keep that going and just encourage extracurricular activities, get them involved in things, make them, and no matter what it is, and you as a parent, show interest. It's nothing worse than a child that shows interest in something. It can be at school. I done spent my whole day with Principal Dana and she gave me the right path and I'm so happy about what I'm going to do. And then I get home to a parent and family that don't care.
It's powerful.
Amputated spirit is bad. So just make sure you care. That's why we also got, as much as we want to do for the children, I know we all say, what does it take to raise a child? A village, right? We have to make sure the village is being raised right. What happens when no one's raised in the village? The village has to be right too for the child to be right. So it's a joint thing. We all have to do it together. Like I said, just start, like all my panelists said, start talking early, extracurricular activities, find out what they love and learn, and just move forward.
Amazing. Let's also acknowledge the reality of being in an unprecedented time, right? We're all now transitioning into different models of the world given the pandemic. Certainly, schools have had an incredible role in trying to transition learning from an in-person environment to a remote environment. So Principal Danner, I'd love to hear from you. What are some of the best practices? I know we talked about this a little bit briefly before we started the panel, that people can, during this remote time, that can be implemented to encourage and support our kids.
So I want to talk about home and school. So and again, thank you for having me. I'm so excited as I hear everybody on the panel. I'm just so happy to be here because this is exactly what we need to be doing. This is exactly the type of message that we all should be sending to our kids. When I rebranded our school 7 years ago to the School of Performing Arts and Technology, I had it in mind from a kid who went to public school, and my public school didn't have a theme. It didn't have something that hooked me, but it was something that I still had to do every day, right? Our parents encourage, get up, go to school, you have to get an education. But I think what's important now, and you all talked about it, like things are different now, right? We have to hook our kids. So that's why we started with the rebranding of our school to the School of Performing Arts and Technology. So between home being fully remote and being in person, we still have the same type of expectations, which are very high expectations at PSU 34 in District 30, right? We're all in District 30. Very high expectations where it doesn't matter if you're at home, if you're in the school building, we're still going to have our residencies. We're still going to have, since we are performing arts and technology, we have full-on technology classes that students are expected to engage and present presentations, our residencies, our full-on dance program. Kids are at home dancing with our teacher teaching them ballet and classical genres of music and dance. We have so many things to offer. I think that it's a headspace, right? It's a mindset. We have to let them know that no matter what, it's important to keep moving on, move forward, onward and forward. We can't get stuck in the moment. We have to capture this moment, and we have to use it to catapult us into where we need to go, where we want to go. So I think for families at home, I think the most important thing to take from this conversation that I'm having with you is don't stop, keep going, build on the momentum. I know that Miss Landy talked about it, Andre talked about it, Sandy, you talked about it, and so did you, Gabriella. You all talked about the different things that you are doing or had to do to get yourselves in a space, get your children in a space to move onward. And I think that's the most important thing, not to get stuck in the moment, but to capture and seize the moment and use this moment to take you where you need to go. I often tell children, look in the mirror. What do you see? They say, I see me. I say, I see me too, right? You see a reflection. That reflection has worth, it has value, and it's going somewhere. And it's up to you to create a path, stay on it. You might go off it here and there, but you're going to have people who are going to guide you, to align you, to help you get to where you need to go. So for our families at home, don't stop. Don't give up. No matter what obstacles come up for yourselves as adults. We know as adults, we come up against a lot of obstacles, especially during a time like this, right? Financially, socially, mentally, all these different pieces for an adult mind. Imagine a child. So don't stop. Reach out, get the support you need. I love what Gabriella was saying, how she, she got herself, she was out there, she put herself out there. She relied on her mentors. She relied on different people, her mom, to help guide her. And to this day, she still talks about, thank my mom for where I'm at today. And I love that, because I say the same thing about myself. It wasn't for my parents, right? I wouldn't be where I'm at. I mean, I tell this to people all the time. I grew up in the South Bronx, right? Just like Astoria Houses. I lived between Mitchell Projects and Millbrook Projects. We were dead smack in the middle. 7 of us growing up in a tenement building, just like many of our families in Astoria Houses. And the important thing that I remember every single day was my mother waking us up, rise and shine, time for school. Let's get this oatmeal on the table. Let's get breakfast in your stomach. Let's get these books done. You make sure you did your homework. Get to school. We were present. And present doesn't mean having physical attendance. Present means that your mind is there, waiting, ready to receive what's coming next. And that's important. I think that's the important message for us to give to all of you in Astoria Houses, all of us, that we have value. We are important, and in given the right resources and given the right mentors, like Gabby said, Gabriella, we can do anything. We can be anyone. We just watched an inauguration that showed us that every single girl can not only be vice president, POTUS, president of the United States, because just like VP Harris, and I feel the same. If I'm principal, I tell my students at home, I tell my parents, you have to be better than me, right? So we have a female vice president. That means you have to aim for being president of the United States of America. And I think the message is clear, and everything that we're all saying on this panel to all of you, to all of our Astoria Housing residents, is that don't stop. It's not just a dream. It's our reality to be more than we are right now. And if we continue to support, mold, and mentor our children, the opportunities are endless. Miss Landy talked about it. The kids are always asking for things. She said, I'm going to give it to you, but you're going to have to work for it. And I swear, that took me back to my childhood, because that's what my dad, did for us. He said, you want this and that? You're going to have to do chores. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that. And at the end of the week, we had a couple of dollars where we can go to the store and buy things we wanted. But the lesson from that was that you can't get anything for free. You have to work. Like Andre said, you have to work hard to get it. And when you develop a mindset that you have to work to get something, you will not stop at anything to get it. And that's the message. Don't stop at anything. You will be, you can be, you are.
I'm just going to let that soak in for a moment for everyone. That incredible mic drop moment right there. We've covered so much, and I can't express my appreciation to the panel today for all that they've shared. In closing us out, we have many young children with their parents watching today. Just if we could do a quick round robin of one piece of advice you want, just the last thing out there. I'll just start off with Nadia, if you don't mind sharing one piece of advice to the younger students and the parents in our community.
Yeah, I would say like just to have a plan, stick to it and just make sure, you have the kids learning as much as possible and just do what make them find out what is it that they really love to do. There's so many things that you can do. So I don't want them to go to college and have like unsure of what they want. So explore now, find out what it is that you love, and stick with it.
Excellent. Sandy?
I love that. That was a little bit of what I was going to say too. I loved what Gabriella said earlier, so I'm just going to echo it. You can't be it if you don't see it, and I think that, or something like that, right? I think we have to expose our students, our children, to everything that's out there. College, different kind of careers. We got to talk about those things every single day. We have to be really intentional, because if we're not, they're only going to know a very few things that are out there. And that's not the truth of the matter. The matter is there's so many pathways that they can follow.
Gabby?
Yeah, I guess this one's for more so the students, but make friends who are different from you. I think in those spaces, you'll find a lot of inspiration and a lot of that difference. I know for me really helped. And in that process, be kind, because we don't necessarily know what everybody's going through.
Right.
Excellent. Principal Dana?
I think that it's important to tell everyone, don't quit. Even when it gets rough, it may be rough right now. Don't quit. Keep going. Just adjust to your situation and keep going. Try your best. The moment you stop, it's the moment you give up. And that's when it stops. So don't stop. Keep going, even when it's tough. Even when you think you can't do it anymore. Find strength in your faith. Find strength in the people around you, and utilize that to fuel yourself. Stay positive. Capture the moment, seize it, run with it.
And last but not least, Andre.
Well, this is extra personal to me because it's going out to Astoria Houses, where I was pretty much raised. I moved in Astoria Houses in 1977 is when I moved to Astoria Houses. I left for a year and came back, but I'm still here. And what it is that I hope everyone that's on this call or listen to everyone on this panel, listen to what they said and realize that all of these great people did not get there alone. You are not alone. Nobody has to do it alone. Frankly, nobody can do it alone. You have to reach out. You have to reach out for help when you need it. There are so many sources out there for you of people that know what you're going through. I know coming from the urban developments in the inner cities for so long, we've been promised things. We've saw so many people come in and come out and say, we're going to do this and do that. But at the end of the day, we got to help each other. We got to pull each other up, because technically nobody's going to want to help nobody that doesn't want to help themselves. So we have to just help each other, realize that help is there. You don't have to do it alone. You can't do it alone. You see we're here, and you know I love you. You know where I'm at. You know I'm always around, and I'm here for you. So
thank you to all our panelists today for sharing their love and their passion for the topic, and for sharing all their incredible perspectives to the folks out there watching today. To everyone watching, thank you for your time, and please stay tuned. We have much more ahead. And we look forward to the next time we can meet. Bye.
Take care, everyone. Be well.
Take care. Stay safe.